Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Rogue Logic. Today is August the 30th, 2022, and I'd like to make a two-part video today about one of my concepts that I really do want to explain and see what people's thoughts are on it, and that would be the human simplicity theory. Now, in order to avoid confusion and to differentiate between what I'm going to talk about in part 2 and what already exists, are a couple things that really should be mentioned. One of them is simplicity theory. Now, this is a cognitive theory, and it's based on the observation that individuals are highly sensitive to any discrepancy in complexity. Basically, their interest is aroused by any situation which appears too simple to them. Now, for our purposes, and really I should say my purposes, that is just something I wanted to clarify because it's something that exists and it really doesn't pertain to what I'm going to be getting at. Number 2, we have not the simplicity theory, but we have the principle of simplicity, or parsimony. Now, that idea is really attributed to William of Occam, and I think this is where people are going to be familiar with the term Occam's razor. Now, with this, well, I'll tell you a little bit just because it's interesting. William of Occam lived from 1287 to 1347 AD, and he was an English Franciscan friar, scholastic philosopher, and Catholic theologian. And what he did is he came up with Occam's razor, and basically saying, if you want to put it in very simple terms, no joke intended, people prefer the simplest explanation rather to more complex ones when trying to problem solve. Now, this does not always mean that Occam's razor is correct every time and that the simplest explanation is always the right one, but it is a go-to model with, and it has less variables that can go wrong. So you may have a number of things more complex for some type of situation that you run into, but if you begin with what's the most simplest, you usually will probably come up with that being the answer, and not having as many different variables pretty much take that to a degree of a much more bigger margin for error. From there, I'm just going to look at my notes really quick just to see. In short, simpler theories are preferable to more complex ones because they tend to be more testable. And that's true too, as in the scientific method, you can just test things easier the simpler they are. And as I continue forward here, I don't really think I'm going to need to continue to a part 2. So I'm going to keep this as one part video, and this is what I wanted to say and what it pertains to. Right now, our political discourse in our country is in pretty bad shape, in pretty scary shape, and in a place where I don't really think that it's ever been before. And with that in mind, this is where my human theory of simplicity comes in. Now, there are so many differences about all of us, and I would not want to change that at all, because a world where we weren't diverse would be very uninteresting. So do understand that what I'm trying to do here today is make a very broad concept about types of people, and I am fully aware that there are such a multitude to of different factors that make us all so different. You know, whether they be cultural or societal or, you know, your living situation, how you grew up, what part of the world you're from, your financial situation, and of course, all of these things make us very, very different. But for my premise of the human simplicity theory, I believe that when you're able to look at it logically and just think for a moment, just sit back, there are about two very strong types of people in the world, and I think almost all of these complex factors that I mentioned and intricacies of different people can fall into these two factors. The first one is there are people who want to do what they want to do. Generally speaking, they want to be not bothered when they're doing it, and they just don't want anything inflicted upon them that they don't want to that they don't want to inflict on anyone else. So basically, you know, be left alone, let me be free to do what I want, and I'll leave you to be free to do what you want. And I think that's category one. Now, as a quick footnote to this category, I am always speaking in reasonable terms. And of course, everyone can have a different parameter as to what those terms are. But to give you what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about, you know, murder. I'm not talking about, you know, severe violence or violence of any type. I'm not talking about, you know, deciding that someone's land that they've owned for 100 years, well, you like it, so I like this place, I'm going to go over here. I'd rather stay away from these extremes, but I feel if I don't at least give you some explanation as to where I'm coming from, that's where people's questions can go, and I just think that's irrelevant. Okay, so the other type of person is the kind of person who has very strong beliefs. They know what they want. They feel as if they're very justified in what they want, just as the first type of person was. But the difference is that they also have a desire for you to do what they want. And this is where I think, really simplifying everything down right now, it really comes to that two types of people. And what's sad about it now, I'm not going to lie here. I'm of the first type of person. I want to be left alone. I want to be able to do what I want. I'm lucky enough to, so far, still live in a free country. I can, as long as I'm not hurting anyone else or trespassing against them, I can do what I want. I can have a job if I want to. I can choose what job it is. I can buy a home. I can rent an apartment. I can go traveling. I don't have to be monitored by anyone, within reason. So that's the type of person that I personally think is the way that things should be. And again, that's my personal opinion. And I think it's the other type of person who usually will cause the conflict. Now, so I don't get accused of playing favorites here, yes, I do believe that where I'm leading with this is politically right now, you have people who are MAGA cultists, at least I consider them that. And because of some of their behavior, I do believe that it is not inappropriate to call them fascists. And this does not go well with a democratic republic built on everyone's freedom. And are we a perfect society? No, we are not. We do not have a perfect system. But luckily, what was built into our Constitution was amendments to that Constitution, and they have been used. And I personally think that they need to be used more for some other issues that I don't want to go off in a different direction here. But when you have, so those people fall, in my opinion, fall into the second category, where they want
I know
what
what's
they want,
best for you.
but they also want you to have to do that. And to be fair, as I was getting to earlier, I do believe there probably is a very small percentage of people on the very far left who also seem to have these ideas that their way is the right way, and here's why I don't think that's as big a problem. These are usually issues that have to do with their personal identity and how they identify, which I think they should have a right to do so any way they want. I do think occasionally they may get a little bit out of control with the sensitivity. You know, everything is offensive, everything hurts their feelings, and they need a safe space. And this is the type of thing that really hurts liberalism, and it really hurts progressivism as well. So I am acknowledging that, but the difference is I don't think that, I think any type of, when people are really, really trying to play that up, that these people on the far, far left are doing this, I just don't think that their actions are very dangerous. They may want things their own way, but they really do, I think, come to a conclusion that, you know, they have to work at that and have it come through. And I think it's important for everyone to be represented and treated fairly and the same. Now, where the real issue is, and I'm going to wrap up with this, is that they are not the ones threatening violence because they didn't get their way. Now, for me, I've said this before, and I'm going to just go through it very quickly. All the varieties of everyone that I spoke of, especially in this country, whether you're religious, atheist, whether you're a minority, not a minority, a Democrat, a Republican, and by a Republican I mean what a Republican used to be, an independent, one of the other parties, you get what I mean. Whatever you are, I just hope that you're really looking at the danger of people who don't get their way. They get a movement behind them which is based on such fallacies, and then when they don't have a defense, their go-to is violence. We are going to riot if you don't do what we want. We are going to hurt people or kill people if you don't do what we want. And this, to me, is if that is not fascism. I know a lot of Republicans right now have been very upset by having the term used upon them, and I for one, don't believe that it's 100% with the Republican Party, but I do believe that the party's in a very, very bad free fall, and I don't think that they are understanding that their party has been taken over by a cult of one man who, I'm sorry to say, whatever your opinion is of him, I really don't, that's your business, but time and time and time again of someone being, you know, basically having no respect for the rule of law at all. And this is coming from me, a liberal who is very progressive, and I don't like overly, intrusive laws. But I also recognize that you can't keep breaking them and just think that that's okay. And I think what we really need to look at is what his motivations were for taking classified documents, for, having information about our spies around the world, for not wanting people around when he's speaking with Putin, for really having a sort of hero worship of dictators. And it's just something that really can't go on. And I'll close with this. What I'm really seeing here is that, I wonder if there are people who are seeing how dangerous this is, and how, for instance, I mean, women have already lost their bodily autonomy, and that's just for the start. So, you've got to be very wary of anyone wanting to just instill themselves. I mean, most recently he's said that I just don't want this to continue, it's not fair, and I want to be reinstated as the president. Now, if there are people that I've been fond of, and as by people I mean famous people that I do not know personally, or politicians, and they did something that was against our democratic republic, even if I liked them and supported them, I would very much take that to an extremely serious level, because despite our differences, we have more in common, and you don't want to be living in a place where your rights are being taken away, and that's what will happen under a fascist regime. With that, I know it's not the most uplifting topic, but it's important, and I stand with all my brothers and sisters in this nation who want to preserve our democratic republic. And I think the MAGA cult, whatever you want to call it, is a dangerous conspiracy theory-led QAnon place of just real madness. And it's all been perpetuated by a narcissistic, fascist, bigoted man who just is such an egomaniac. Any type of exposure or attention that he gets is and it's got to stop. Please comment below. I would like to discuss this with people. Please like my videos if you do, and subscribe to my channel. That would be great. And you can also find me at RogueLogic13 on Twitter, and I believe the same on Instagram. So with that, everyone, I hope you have an incredible afternoon and evening. Always be kind to one another whenever you can, which is almost all the time, and make sure you include yourself in that. It's very important. And of course, as always, be kind to animals. They are the best thing that this planet offers us. It's only my opinion, but I'm not going to change on that one. So just be great to them, because they need us to be. They don't have a voice for themselves. Have a great night, everyone, and